If you've ever been told that the only way to get rich is to work harder and save more, you're not alone. That's the message most of us grow up hearing. Go to school, get a job, work hard, put money in a savings account, and someday, maybe you'll retire comfortably. But while you've been following that path, there's another group of people playing a completely different game. And they're not just winning, they're doing it with less effort, less stress, and way more freedom. These are the wealthy. And they're using cheat codes you were never taught. Now, when we say cheat codes, we're not talking about scams or shortcuts that magically make you rich overnight. We're talking about strategies, mindsets, systems, and moves that multiply money behind the scenes. Things that give them an edge while everyone else is still stuck in the cycle of trading time for money and hoping for a raise. The wealthy have figured out how to build wealth without relying on hustle culture. They understand how money actually works. And once you see what they're doing differently, you'll realize that working hard and saving, while not bad advice, isn't enough on its own. Let's start with the first cheat code. They don't trade time for money. At least not for long. Most people get stuck in the mindset that income has to come from labor. If you want more money, you work more hours, you pick up overtime, you take a second job. But the wealthy don't think that way. They use their time to build things that pay them again and again without needing their presence. They build systems, they invest in cash-flowing assets, they create businesses that run even when they're asleep. Think about royalties from a book, dividends from stocks, rent from real estate, or even automated online stores. These things don't require clocking in and out. They don't get tired or need vacation days. They just work, quietly, consistently. That's a cheat code most people never even hear about. Next, they use other people's money, and they use it well. While the average person is told to avoid debt at all costs, the wealthy are taught how to use it to their advantage. They understand the difference between bad debt and good debt. Bad debt buys things that lose value. Good debt buys things that create income. For example, someone with a traditional mindset might save for 15 years to buy a house in cash. A wealthy person might take a mortgage at a low interest rate, rent the house out, and let the tenants pay off the loan while they collect monthly profit. Over time, they build equity, cash flow, and tax advantages, all with money that wasn't theirs to begin with. They understand how to control assets without always owning them outright. That's not just smart, it's strategic. Here's another one. They make their money before they spend it. Most people earn a paycheck and then start subtracting. Rent, food, bills, fun. Whatever's left is called savings, if anything is left at all. The wealthy flip that script. They pay themselves first. As soon as money comes in, a portion is automatically invested or saved in something that grows. Expenses come after. That simple shift turns saving from a maybe into a guarantee. Over time, this creates a snowball effect. Small amounts grow into large amounts, and those large amounts start working for them. And speaking of working, the wealthy don't just work for income. They build equity. That's one of the biggest cheat codes out there. If you work at a job, you get paid for your time. If you build a business, you can eventually sell it for a multiple of its profits. The same goes for owning real estate, building an audience, or even creating intellectual property like apps or designs. Wealthy people aim to build things that grow in value, even while they sleep. That's equity. And equity is what turns effort into long-term wealth. Now here's something subtle. The rich avoid taxes, legally. While the average person pays taxes on earned income, which is the highest taxed kind, the wealthy structure their income differently. They take advantage of tax codes designed to reward investing and business ownership. For example, capital gains are taxed lower than wages. Real estate investors can deduct depreciation and expenses. Business owners can write off legitimate costs that regular employees can't. It's not about cheating the system. It's about understanding how the system rewards certain behaviors and using that to their advantage. Unfortunately, most people never learn this because they're stuck in a system that only teaches them how to earn, not how to keep. Let's talk about information. Another cheat code the wealthy use is access to better advice. Most people take financial tips from parents, friends, or social media, people who might mean well but aren't necessarily wealthy themselves. Rich people, they pay for good advice. They have accountants, lawyers, financial advisors, and mentors. They join networks where conversations are different, where money, growth, and investing are normal topics. This gives them access to opportunities before the public even hears about them. It's not just luck. It's leverage. They also understand that time is more valuable than money. That's why they outsource tasks they don't need to do themselves. They hire people to clean, cook, research, run errands, so they can focus on what actually grows their wealth. Meanwhile, most people try to do everything themselves to save a few bucks, but lose the time they could have used to build something bigger. Time saving isn't laziness, it's optimization. Now here's a mental one. The wealthy don't attach emotions to every dollar. Most people are emotionally tied to money. They fear losing it. They hesitate to invest it. They feel guilty spending it. That emotional weight leads to hesitation, and hesitation kills momentum. Wealthy individuals treat money like a tool. If it works, they keep using it. If it doesn't, they adjust. But they don't let fear freeze them. They understand that losing some money is part of the game, and learning from that loss is worth more than the money itself. You'll rarely find a wealthy person who hasn't failed financially at least once. The difference is they don't let failure stop them. They use it. They're also not afraid to be different. That might sound simple, but it's powerful. Most people spend money to fit in, to impress friends, to keep up appearances. Rich people often spend less on appearance and more on advantage. They're fine looking average if it means living free. They don't care what their neighbors think. They care what their balance sheet says. This mindset allows them to skip the trap of trying to look rich while staying broke. Another cheat code? They don't just think about money. They think in terms of cash flow, assets, time freedom, opportunity cost, scalability. In other words, they've trained their brains to see money differently. While most people are stuck asking, can I afford this? Wealthy people ask, does this give me leverage? Or will this grow my income? Or is this the best use of my capital right now? That shift in thinking changes everything. They don't rely on motivation. They rely on structure. The rich don't wait to feel like saving or investing. They automate it. They systemize their decisions so emotion doesn't get in the way. That's why they keep building, because their success isn't based on willpower. It's built into the system. And here's the part that hurts. Most people have access to this information but never use it. Not because they can't, but because it feels unfamiliar. Because it takes effort. Because it requires unlearning what they were taught. But once you start seeing these cheat codes, you can't unsee them. You can start small. Automate your savings. Build a skill that scales. Invest in something that pays you back. Spend less time chasing trends and more time building systems. Stop trading time for money and start creating ways for money to find you. It's not easy, but it's not impossible. The difference between the wealthy and everyone else isn't always about privilege or starting point. Often it's just the playbook. They were taught to build. Most people were taught to survive. But now that you know what they know, the game changes. You don't have to stay stuck in the loop of working harder and saving endlessly, hoping it's enough. You can start applying the same principles that give the wealthy their edge. And when you do, you stop playing defense with your money and start playing offense. If this video gave you a new perspective, hit that like button and subscribe for more practical wisdom. And in the comments, let me know, which cheat code do you want to start using first? Because you don't need to cheat the system. You just need to understand how the winners play.